Good evening, everyone. If I could please have you take your seats. I appreciate you all coming out to town meeting tonight. And without further ado, I'll ask Sarah to read the call of the meeting.
Town of Putnam notice of town meeting, September 26, 2012. The electors and citizens qualified to vote in the town meeting of the town of Putnam, Connecticut. I hereby notify and warn that the town meeting of said town will be held at the Putnam Middle School Auditorium, 35 Oak Street, Putnam, Connecticut, on Wednesday, September 26, 2012, at 7:30 in the evening for the following purposes. 1, to choose a moderator for said meeting. 2, to determine the wishes of those present eligible to vote at town meeting of the town of Putnam on the following proposed resolution. Be it resolved that the town of Putnam conduct a forensic audit of the financial records of the town of Putnam for the purpose of determining any improprieties of procedures or recommendations prior to the hiring of a new town treasurer, and to appropriate the sum of $75,000 to pay the cost of said audit. Pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 8, Section 4B and 4C of the Putnam Charter, in view of the fact that no appropriation was recommended by the Board of Finance, approval of the aforementioned appropriation shall require a 2/3 majority of qualified voters voting thereon, which majority shall consist of at least 150 qualified voters. Dated at Putnam, Connecticut, the 17th day of September 2012. Town of Putnam, Richard C. Place Mayor, Renee Lasco, Richard A. Loomis, Alan D. Maury, Norman Sinay, John Smith Jr., Owen A. Tarr, Board of Selectmen, attest Sarah J. Sinay, Town Clerk.
Thank you, Sarah. First order of business is to choose a moderator for said meetings. Would I have a nomination out there?
Nominate William St. Ange.
I have a motion and a second to nominate William St. Ange as moderator. Would there be any further nominations?
I move that nomination be closed. Second.
I have a motion and a second to close nominations. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed? So carried. All those in favor of having William St. Ange as moderator this evening say aye. Those opposed? So carried. Mr. St. Ange.
Can you hear me out there? What? I don't think we need that scratchy thing. There's one item. I would entertain a motion for the adoption of item 2.
So moved.
Motion by Barney, seconded by John Smith. Will you discuss the item? I'd ask each person to come to a mic and identify themselves for the record.
Don Steinberg, 423 Providence Pike. I'm here tonight to say that I was the one that circulated the petition. As I did before the Board of Selectmen, I went to the Board of Selectmen and said that I made a mistake in the wording of the petition. Okay? With that, and we called for a $75,000 cost to the taxpayers of the town of Putnam, I would urge everybody here, as a petitioner, to vote this down. In the same respect, I'm not in favor of the $75,000 audit, but I do believe certain items in the town record should be more closely reviewed.
Maybe if you back up just a little bit, Don.
No, shut off your microphone.
Try again.
That's pretty much it. I brought the petition to the town hall on Monday, intending that it go before the Board of Selectmen. It immediately that evening went to the Board of Finance. The mayor sent a letter out looking for an apology. I think if there's an apology to be coming, I think it should come from the Board of Finance. I didn't make this political football, someone else did. Thank you. Good evening.
Will you remark further on the item?
I would just like to say one thing in regards to Paula Rivers. I don't think I've ever worked with anybody that's been more honest and open and has done a finer job, been a model employee, been a friend. I think it would inspire my family in regards to what she's done for this town. I'm so proud of the way that she's carried on, the way professionally, the way that she's done her job. You know, I wish I had 10 more like you, Paula. You know, I deeply appreciate the hard work and dedication and efforts that you put into things, and I would strongly ask the people of Putnam to reject appropriating this sum of money this evening.
Is there anybody in favor of the petition at this point in time? If there is no one in favor of the petition at this point in time, is there anyone who has something important to say before we vote on the petition?
Joe Ernest, Old Street, Putnam. I just want to know how this all came about. I'm curious why someone thought there were improprieties. I don't doubt that the treasurer was honest, and I know there are audits, different audits every year. I just was curious how this all came about.
Well, if I may, in terms of technically how it comes about, if a citizen files a petition and it has a requisite number of signatures, the Board of Selectmen are required to call a town meeting unless the purpose is completely illegal. In Putnam, we have something that's a little different than any other town in northeastern Connecticut. In any other town in northeastern Connecticut, you cannot appropriate money without the approval of the Board of Finance. In Putnam, by charter, we have an override of the Board of Finance that says you can appropriate money without the Board of Finance's approval if you have 150 people vote affirmatively in favor of it, and that 150 people is at least 2/3 of the people voting on the issue. That does not appear that it's going to be the case this evening, but that is technically how you get there. Any citizen has a right to petition, and once the petition is filed, there's no procedure I'm aware of that a petition can be recalled. Once it's been filed and the signatures have been certified by the town clerk, then it must go through a process. Going once.
John Smith, 533 5 Mile River Road. I also mentioned the word forensic report at a town meeting. I used the wrong term. I should have used an exit audit. And the only reason I brought that up was I didn't think anybody did anything wrong. I wasn't accusing anybody of anything. It was just so that the new candidate that came for a job walked into a clean slate. I've heard these things are done often. When new people take a position in a financial spot, they just walk into a clean slate. That was the only reason I brought it up. I wasn't accusing anybody of anything, and I don't believe anybody who put this forward did.
Will you remark further on the item?
Procedural question. I'm hearing impaired, and I have been for 20 years, and I simply cannot hear, and I don't understand the staying away from microphones because it looks cute or whatever. I don't understand that.
I'm not going to look cute either way. The microphone was creating quite a lot of static, and I thought that it was easier for people to hear without me. If you have a problem, we'll go back to the fabulous system.
But some of the statements that have been made, I'm simply unable to understand, and I'm concerned about it as a citizen.
Okay, well, to summarize, no one has spoken in favor of the motion. People have explained why the motion was brought, and I'm going... Mr. Cobb.
Thank you. Doug Cutler Jr., 36 Edmund Street. Don came to my house with a petition, and he shared with me some of the things listened to what he had to say. I thought that he had a case to make. And I thought he needed his day in court, per se. And in this instance, this is that court. Now, why do I say that? Because I went through and I researched as well after this whole deal blew up. And I went through it based on some things that Don had said, some things that I had seen, and pieced it all together. Should I just turn this off? I'd like to share with you what I have here. And maybe it answers questions, maybe it doesn't. But I think for the gentleman, I probably wouldn't have said anything, but the gentleman did have a question. Why are we here tonight? How did we get here? This isn't the only reason for Don, and I don't want to speak for him, but I don't think this is the only reason why Don did the petition. But I think it lends to how he got here. I have a timeline. The timeline starts on November 30th of 2011, not quite a year ago. There is an invoice in the amount of $460 from Gaudet Aviation submitted to the town of Putnam, referencing gift certificate number 431125. Also on November 30th, 2011, there's an internal requisition from the town of Putnam to Gaudet Aviation for $460 for the costs for a plane and an instructor. Delivery instructions state, give to Denise so she can go to the airport and pick up the gift certificate. The requisition is stamped paid December 1, 2011, notated check number 070780, initialed by RP, OT, and JS. Excuse me. On December 1st of 2011, the check stub and for that check in the amount of $460 for Gaudet Aviation, and there's a reference of R. Beans, our outgoing mayor. 4 days later, on December 5th of 2011, Mayor Beans is present and presides over the meeting whereby the bill for his flight lessons is approved by selectmen. Flight lessons that are paid for by taxpayer dollars. The very next day, on December 6th, 2011, outgoing Mayor Beans is presented a $460 certificate for flight lessons from new Mayor Peter Place. Fast forward to January 9th of 2012, letter from Don Steinbreck to Doug Cutler, Town Administrator, regarding the FOIA request pertaining to the checks, invoices, and purchase orders, charged to a specific account where that $460 came out of. On January 10th, there is an FOI response from the town. And then here's, I think, where we get into why Don did this. On March 26th, 2012, Don Steinbreck submitted his FOI packet that he got from the town on his question concerning the flight lessons for $460. He submitted it to the Board of Finance. I was actually at that meeting. I remember him doing it. He submitted that packet to the Board of Finance and it included everything that he had from the town. On April 2nd, 2012, Don asked during the public comment portion of the Selectmen's meeting for the Board of Selectmen to conduct an investigation as to how that could happen, how taxpayer dollars went to fund the outgoing mayor's flight lessons. Because according to the charter, I believe, Mr. Moderator, that the Board of Selectmen is the investigative body within the town of Putnam, so that's why Don brought it to them as well. On April 16th, 2 weeks later, Mayor Place states at the very next Selectmen's meeting that they, the Board of Selectmen, wanted to do something special for outgoing Mayor Bobby Beans, and that's why they gave him the $460 certificate for the flight lessons. Since March 26th, when Don submitted the whole packet to the Board of Finance, April 2nd and April 16th, when he went before the Board of Selectmen about the issue, researched it. I've been to some of the, not all of them, but some of the Board of Finance meetings from then till now. And I researched as best I could on the town website, and the issue was never brought up by the Board of Finance. And since the April 16th meeting of the Board of Selectmen, the issue has never been discussed again. There was no investigation since then. So if the Board of Finance doesn't deal with the issue at all, and the Board of Selectmen simply says they wanted to do something special, the only other option that Don Steinbrück had to get this out in the public to deal with it was to go to petition. He specifically, as the moderator had stated earlier, according to our charter, every citizen in the town of Putnam has that right to bring an issue to a town meeting via a petition. That's the only option Don had left. Personally, in talking with Don about the entire issue, I don't believe he had his sights set, so to speak, on the treasurer of the town of Putnam. He saw things happening within the town. He wanted to try to have the town deal with them. There seemed to be no headway whatsoever. So he went to his last resort because some things didn't look right to him as a citizen, and he wanted to bring it to our attention because our boards apparently were not. And I think that's why we're here. As best I could, I tried to explain to you the research that I've done, my conversations with Don, what I've seen out of the process. And again, I don't believe that there was ever any intention on the part of Don Steinbrück to malign our treasurer, Paul Ledges.
I'd like to make a motion to call the question. Can you hear me?
Second.
Motion made and seconded to call the question. That motion is non-debatable and requires